We've touched on the Agile Manifesto principles very briefly in the first pathway when we introduced the Agile Manifesto itself. We didn't spend a lot of time there, but in this video, we just want to go through each of those 12 one by one. Hopefully, you've already started looking at them for yourself and thinking about them and how they apply to the work that you're doing. And of course, we've been mentioning them in some videos individually as we go along, not collectively. So where do they fit in the universe or in the Agile universe? We know that Agile is primarily a mindset, and that's the focus of these pathways, is to get us to that point where it's an instinctive part of what we do. And the principles then are a part of that. They help define that mindset. They help define what Agile means. If you go to the website, agilemanifesto.org, you will see the principles listed there. But let's take a look at each one individually, just briefly. The first one then, our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. It says software here, but of course we know that we replace the word software with whatever is relevant to whatever it is that we're doing and that we're providing to the customer. But it's interesting that this is number one, that this is where we start. It's all about making sure that the user, that the customer is getting what they need and that they are truly delighted. The next one then, we welcome changing requirements even late in development. And I think for a lot of people, when we first come across Agile, when we first think about Agile, we think of this idea of adaptability, of nimbleness, of changing things frequently. This idea of not following a plan, but actually responding to change. And that's a little bit more context on that item. The third one then, we deliver working software frequently, from a couple of weeks to a couple of months, and the preference is on a shorter timescale. And again, we've talked about this. The reason for that is to make sure that we are getting feedback as early as possible in the cycle, and also so that we're delivering value early, making sure that we're putting something in front of the customer that they can use right away. You remember some of those slides where we talked about iterative and incremental, the skateboard or the boat that we're building, and how we start with a raft first, and so on. This really helps us to work together properly and to save time and money and energy, is to make sure that we're working together daily throughout the project. And by this, we're talking here specifically about business people, so stakeholders and developers are the people doing the work, the team, working together closely on a daily basis where possible to make sure that we understand what's happening. We can tackle problems fast, confidently. We don't have to keep waiting for the next milestone review meeting, the next checkpoint or anything. We can build on things quickly. This all saves time and get us moving faster. And it also is motivational to have that support, to feel that you're part of a wider team that is working, because we want to build around motivated individuals. We will be talking about this more. The psychology of Agile is really fascinating, in this idea that we get more out of ourselves and out of each other by working together in a positive environment where we are supported and we know that we are doing our absolute best to deliver it. I picked a little bit on that when we talked about the retrospective, for example, earlier in this pathway. We've touched on this a number of times. It's always important to remind us the most efficient and effective method of conveying information is through a face-to-face conversation. We know that 7% of our communication is from the words, and the rest is from how we say the words and through body language. So it is really important that we don't constantly rely on texts, on emails, on the written word, but we actually are communicating with each other. And of course, if we're applying principle number 4, we are able to do that frequently anyway. Again, this is another one we've touched on, this idea that we don't want lots and lots of documentation. The primary measure of progress is the working solution that we have, the thing that we're working on. We want to get that out, put it in front of the customer, put it in front of the user, put it in front of stakeholders, and have a conversation about that so that we can make sure that it works within Scrum. This happens at the sprint demo, towards the end of each sprint. Agile promote the way we do work in agilely, the way we work together in an agile way, it needs to be sustainable. We need to be able to, as it says here, maintain a constant pace indefinitely. As sometimes people get this idea that Agile is about speed, and therefore let's go faster and let's try and cram more into this 2-week period, into this 2-week sprint. But that's not the case. Agile is about nimbleness rather than speed. We do get speed, and certainly if we apply the 12 principles, we will get a lot more speed. But it's not about pedaling faster, about doing things faster. It's about doing things differently that helps us with that. But again, this idea that it should be we should be able to maintain this constant pace indefinitely is really important, and I see a lot of teams unfortunately not able to do that because the working together is not quite as it should be with stakeholders and so on. And that often comes down to trust. If we don't trust that the team is doing their absolute best, then we will try, as leaders, try and load on more things for them to do, try to shoehorn more work into the sprint. If we're working together properly, if we're doing principle number 4 there and principle number 6, we'll hopefully develop that trust and we'll know that we're all doing our absolute best to achieve the common purpose. And another way to help make sure that we have trust is for this focus on technical excellence and good design. So making sure that we're building quality into everything that we do. This idea that some people have that Agile delivers the minimum possible and therefore quality is lost is absolutely not true. Quality is paramount. If we're going to satisfy the customer, we need to make sure that we have the best possible quality in everything that we do. Better to do less better than to do more, averagely, or is that even a word? Get to do more, not to quite such a high standard. Because if we deliver the good quality, we reduce rework time, we reduce bugs, we reduce the need for fixing, and so forth. And simplicity. We want to make sure that we keep things super simple. The Manifesto principle says simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. And for me, this ties very neatly back to the 20-80-20 rule, the idea that 20% of the features, 20% of the work that we do will deliver 80% of the value. So let's deliver that first. Then we can decide what we want to do with the rest of it. But making sure that what we're delivering, what really matters. If we've got a list of items to do, a list of things that need to be delivered, make sure that list is prioritized so that we're focusing on the things that have the most value at the top, and keep things super simple where at all possible. That's I think what KISS stands for. Keep it super simple. That's my interpretation anyway. The next one then is the next item then is number 11. The best architecture requirements and design emerge from self-organizing teams. If the team knows what the outcome is clear, has clarity and context over that, then they will actually create and deliver and if necessary, invent the best way forward to achieve that overall goal. Within their professions, within what they're doing. And then finally, at regular intervals, the team reflects on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly. So important to invest those 2 hours per 2 weeks, 2 hours per sprint into a retrospective, into stopping to reflect, to have a think about what we can do better, because those incremental improvements that we do over time will have a massive impact down the road. And it has impact in quality, in motivation, in all sorts of things. So again, one of the values there, one of the principles there that we have, we want all 12, of course, but it's hard to have all 12 in our heads at the same time. So we tend to spend time on one or two and think about them as we go. During the retrospectives, probably an idea to, on a cycle, to have one of them as the one that we're going to focus on for the next 2 weeks, for the next sprint. That could be something we can do. Another thing I like to do, because this can feel a bit dry, I think, just having the words there. And I like it when people have done things like this. They've created an infographic which helps bring it out a little bit. So in this one, I like it. They've taken just a few words, 2 or 3 words, to summarize what the principle is. They've got a drawing which helps bring it to life, and then the actual principle itself. And there are a lot of those around on the internet right now, but I really recommend that you create your own, that you actually stop and think and draw, maybe use pictures. I don't know what you do there, but think about what it means to you, and what words and what pictures, what images, what ideas pull it together. One thing that I did, as you may have seen already, is I created the Agile Mindset infographic, which you see here. And in doing so, I was looking at, one thing I was looking at was the Manifesto principles, to make sure that I was, tying in everything that made sense to me from all of those, from the 12 principles, also the values, and then the general focus and the way we are bringing this together. I use this, and I adapt it and I change it from time to time, but I use this as my memory jogger. Many other people are using it as well, which is great. Feel free to do so. There's a link below for you to get hold of this. But if you create your own, it'd probably be even better. It helps make sure that you really understand the principles behind the mindset that we have. Hope this makes sense. It's probably a little bit of a long video here, but just important to go through those in detail, and maybe in the future, if it's something that you want, we can maybe spend an entire video, short hopefully, on each one of those principles. But do explore them, do spend time with them, discuss them, and learn what you can about them.